All right, we're recording live from the heart of the Appalachian Mountains. Actually, we have stole the infamous Forrest Red's carport. He don't even, well, we call him Forrest or White. White, and if y'all come and hunt with us, you'll know why. And we have another one sitting across from us. It's got the same kind of mentality.
Yeah, he's a shooter though. Forrest shoots a lot. Fuzzy just kills him.
Well, Fuzzy's a killer and Forrest is a shooter. And when he goes to shooting, everybody better get out of the way because you just don't know where it's going. But anyway, so we're about next week. We're at the end of our training season. Next week will be the end of it, and then we have the early season. And our season will be over, and we'll have to wait out the deer hunters until December and try to get after it. So we're going to talk a little bit today about the training season, some ups and downs, some issues, some things that I've seen, especially with my pack. The food is scattered this year. It's not, you'll find a spot or two of it, and it don't matter. We've hunted a couple different mountain ranges, and it's the same. And then we've got one of our friends on from Kentucky. We got Jerry Barker on, and this is his first time, not with hounds, because he's got a bunch of tri-colored Holsteins. And this is his first time bear hunting, and we'll talk to him about his experience and get his perspective on a first time, or first bear he actually seen too. So we was glad that he could be a part of that. So, all right, let's just dive into the season. It's it's been a headache for me. I don't think that I've not been able to hunt consistent enough to get my dogs in what I say running shape. Scheduling at work has been horrible. Staffing is the issue. Can't people out on light duty, and some of them's on FMLA for an extended period of time, and I mean we're running a skeleton crew, and it's tough to get off. So I've been able to hunt a day or two here, or this is our third day. I've got to hunt 3 days in a row. So Jerry and I just caught the dogs crossing over the top of the mountain, and I mean they were gassed. Tongues hanging out, weren't too hard to pull off of it. So I still think that my dogs aren't in shape at all. Unless you've not hardly, you and then Fuzz has actually been a couple days, and Forrest has been he's like Bigfoot. We hear about him, but we never seen him. No. Yeah. But I want to follow up on the pups because I've got two. I give Clater one of Allie. We got him started, and she was good and started. She was starting off pretty good, so we hooked him up with her. So I'm down to two of the pups, the last litter, and Wes has got one. And I know you've heard me talk about how Attica last year had opened on those two bear tracks during kill season, and you heard us talk about her giving that really deep like ball. Well, that's completely changed this year, and I noticed it down in North Carolina back during the spring with BB. Is she's back to that chirpy kind of pitch bark. So it took me a minute to adjust or figure that out. But what's actually going on with her is those were booger barks before. Mm-hmm. Those were that I don't know what this is. Compared to now, she's more comfortable. She's been on bear, so her voice is completely changed, and it's normal. I mean, it's the same if she would be running a deer or whatever. So that's been a adjustment with her. All my females come in heat. I mean, Maggie missed the first 2 weeks of season, which is the old female. Then Hart came in, and then Attica come in. Kate's out of service. So all my females have missed, 3 weeks or more of season. And here, like I said, we're here at the last end of it. So they have not been able to run or get in shape. And I guess that's the bad part about having females. I mean, Wes, your whole box is females.
Yeah. I tend to rather carry a female myself, but That's definitely a downfall too. That.
I mean, it's always right in the middle of the season.
Yep.
And then, Fuzzy, your protege, he carries some females. So, I don't know. Like I said, I like them, but that's the downfall of it. It's very frustrating to me because, like I said, here Attica's, they're 19 months old, and I mean, she basically missed a whole month of season. Yep. So it should be good to go. And then we had a hard race. Like second or third day I had her back, we had about a 16-mile blowout, and I had to lay her up for a couple of days. Well, actually, I had her up for 5 days before I took her back out. She was just sore, and I noticed that there wasn't no sense in hunting her because she wasn't going to be able to keep up. So hunted her. Did I have her Monday? No, or Wednesday? No, I didn't have her. I had. I hunted. Who did I hunt besides her? I don't know, but I didn't take her, and I didn't hunt her until yesterday. Yesterday's the first day I've had her back out. So yeah, she was out a week for that. So the Journey on Houndsman XP has teamed up with One TDC. This dual action support for oral health and mobility in our dogs. This unique supplement is so effective that it is recommended by top veterinarian experts worldwide to maintain and improve our dog's health in 4 different areas: their oral health, hips, joints, and muscles, skin, coat, energy, and recovery. Guys, I've been using this product for the last 6 months, and it has been a game changer for me. If you're looking for something to help with the overall health of your dog, go to worksowell.com and give this product a try. It is highly recommended by Houndsman XP here on The Journey. I've got, I'll just break down my pack. So, Spook and Kate and Maggie are kind of my lead dogs. Like I said, Kate's out of service. Maggie was out for the first couple of weeks, and I started rotating her and Spook. So I'd hunt her one day, Spook one day, her one day, Spook one day. That way I could take her some of the more of the young dogs, and not, because I don't like to take over 6. So that's what I've taken. And so that's another problem without getting them in shape, is they've not been hunted consistently. And then I got Houdini and Hart, which is the first litter out of Spook. And Houdini's been giving me a fit this year. Like, he's testing every patient that I have. He's babbling a little bit off the rig. And I'm trying to make sure that, for you guys that have that problem, I want to make sure that he's not opening on the track before the other dogs, and it is babbling. So I've been cautious of how I've handled that. And usually when he starts opening, the dogs pull to him and they go on. So I'm still trying to process if it's a babble or he's got a little bit better nose and picking it up quicker. So I still haven't determined that. But he's went backwards several times on me. Didn't do that last year. He, did that. They're 2.5. Somebody just put that in. They're 2.5. Went backwards 3-4 times on me this year. Didn't do that any last year. He's definitely striking some trash on me. In fact, we just come off the mountain and we're coming down the road, and me and Jerry's talking, and all of a sudden a big old bushy tail runs out in front of me, and I'm like, okay. I slam my brakes on and let him out, and like he went up over the hill, barking. So before I could get him stopped, it didn't take a whole lot to get him stopped, but so I know that's an issue. I mean, I know he's striking coyotes. It's just the way it is. So treed a coon on me one morning. He come around the hill to 200 yards, and Spook come down in the road and looked at me like, "What you want me to do, Dad?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Just hang on a minute." And then they fell treed. Him and Hart fell treed, and I got up there, and it was a coon. So just got them off the tree and come on back to the truck. And I think we went on around the mountain and ended up treeing one. We did, yeah. Yep. But so Houdini's giving me a fit, and I don't want to be too hard on him because he does good. He does good sometimes. and then sometimes he's pulling that stuff. So Hart, like I said, just got her back. This is her second week of running. She's lining out doing what she's supposed to do. One of the downfalls I see with her is that if she gets tied up in the middle of the pack or towards the back of the pack, she'll stay with them and don't try to catch the front. If she's in the front, she's gone. I'm not a fan of that. I don't like it. And I'm hoping with a little bit of age that'll come out off of it. And I hope that if I can get her down on a couple by herself where she's not dependent on anybody, that's not an issue either. But I'm definitely seeing that, and I'm not a fan, but it is what it is, so we'll just keep working on it. And then Attica, she just come out of heat, so I just had her back 2 weeks. Her and Hart come out at the same time. And then I got Rogue. Got this little mixed up high tan looking dog got from BB, and this spring when I was down at BB's or Doug's, we got him on a race or two, and he'd go and got him back here and got him on some races, and he was going and he was making races, but he wouldn't tree. And I don't remember, me and Hot Rod and Greg maybe treed one day, and he was back up the bank barking a little bit, so I tied him up where he could see it, and it was pretty high up in a tree, and he got to barking pretty good. And then a couple days later, maybe a week later, I don't remember exactly, him, Maggie, and Houdini took a bear by themselves, went over the top, got over on the north, walked it way out the mountain, and they were walking it, you could tell, because they'd stop and show treed and stop and show treed, and then they'd turn and come back, and when they come back pretty close to where I was at and fell treed. And when I topped the mountain and started down in the north, he was sitting in there calking, and I was pretty tickled with that. But he could see that bear. It was a good bear. We're going to talk about that in just a second. It was a good bear, and he could see it. So if he can see it, he's treeing really well. Of course, now I'm telling, this dog's 15, 16 months old. The A litter's 19 months old. So we're, Houdini and Hart's 2.5. So to me, I don't know how y'all feel about it, get y'all's input, but to me, them are young dogs. And there's been several days that I've only hunted those dogs, that, the young dogs. I've not taken the older dogs. Do you like to be outside like I do? Hunting, fishing, hiking? If so, Onyx is the app for you. I've been a loyal Onyx user for years. It's the one app that I can honestly say I use daily. While hunting, I know where I'm at all times. I mark trails, bedding areas, feeding areas, and the list goes on. In my travels, I use it to pre-scout all the new places that I am blessed to hunt. Last year while hiking Yellowstone, I used Onyx to map out the trails and know the difficulty of each one. And here's a secret. I mark all of my favorite fishing spots on Onyx. It's been a game changer for me at work. I've used it multiple times to get in touch with property owners. Onyx has so many great features and tools, you can literally use it in your everyday life. It is by far the best mapping app on the market. And hey, it's approved by yours truly at Houndsman XP. So when you go to subscribe to Onyx, use our code HXP20 and get you a discount. So get your journey started with Onyx and know where you stand.
Yeah, that's kind of that's where I wanted to go this training season was, as far as August went. I really wanted to try and put more time into her. And, I didn't hardly hunt much in August because of the heat and, worked, busy. But she's definitely on the right track. I don't really have any faults with her right now. I know every dog has faults, but I've just got to figure them all out. Training season for me has been slow again. I'm kind of where I left off in December as far as dogs. I haven't been hunting my old dogs. I've been hunting. I guess I've been carrying around 4 younger to middle-aged dogs, but it's still a struggle bus for me. So,
I mean, I don't know. I think I'm not where I want to be at all. Like I said, if I have, Spook with me or Maggie, it seems like it's a little easier. And if I don't have them with me, I mean, I can, last week, they split.
mm-hmm.
Spook took that one bear and they went right in behind him. We're like, man, he's, half a mile in front of him. Well, he ended up bringing a bear across the road, and I caught him, and they ended up going on out the mountain and treeing their own. So they're capable of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like it to be more consistent.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely helps with him. If I had a dog that way, I mean, you definitely feel more comfortable, with your older dogs. But I think your young ones are just what they are. They're young, and they'll come around with opportunity. Yeah,
I mean, I'm hoping. So, yeah, that's kind of that's kind of the breakdown of my pack. So that's what I've got. And like I said, Kate's out. Oh, I've got to tell you about my new addition. And you may have heard me talk about her before. Is I got a little female from Carl McAllister and Chris. She's a little Walker female. She's 7 months old right now. And I know I've talked about her before. I've tried my darndest to keep from hunting her because I don't like to hunt my dogs young. And I take her a day or two. I take her a day, and then I'd leave her at home. And I take her a day, and I'd leave her at home. And about the second or third day, the second day I had her out, Spook bought a bear across the road behind me, and I had her in a box, and I just turned her out to see. And, she was gone. Like, she was gone. She was right with him. When got to the tree, she was at the tree. She left. She's not staying treed, which is fine as a part of it. I mean, Spook and them done the same thing when they were that age. And then she made another good race a couple of days later. And then the last day, where am I hearing that? Is that the radio? Will you go cut that down?
Must be.
So Sass, she made that a 16-mile trek with the other dogs that I was just telling you about. And when I caught the dogs crossing into an area we didn't want to get into, I mean, she was right behind the front 2 dogs. And this pup's, like I said, she just turned 7 months old. Now, the downfall is I was telling Jerry this morning that I'm pretty sure she broke her toe. It swelled up. I gave her some medicine. It went down, but it's still a little bit swollen. And yesterday, when I got to checking it and like putting some pressure on it, she'd go to yelping. So I know it's broke. I hope that is not a long-term effect for her, for sure, because man, she can motor, and I'm tickled to death with what I'm tickled with the progress that I feel like I'm going to have with her, or the potential that I have with her.
Yeah.
So, and then I've got 2 5 months old, which I had them with me Saturday, and I mean, one of them went a little over a mile on a race.
Yeah.
And I just took them with me. I didn't really want them to do anything. But I want to back up and talk about that, because you guys have been watching Bryce Matthews on his feed with he's doing that. He's imprinting the dogs on the track. I've done all 3 of those dogs that way, and Sassy got up to where she was trailing like 2.5 hour old tracks. Now, this was back when the weather was 80 some degrees, humidity was up around 78 to 84% humidity. And, she was taking those tracks and moving on and being able to work them up and do them for, 500-600 yards. So I just stopped. And the other 2 puppies, the 5 months old, I did the same thing with them. And I kind of stopped when they got to a certain point. And I will tell you, from what I've seen and the experience that I've had with these over this season, no issue. I mean, they're taking tracks.
Mm-hmm. Like,
they're taking them. So hopefully, if you guys are watching that and following Bryce, it definitely, I can see a benefit. And you big game guys, it may help more than the coon hunters. I know the coon hunters are kind of up in the air about it. I get it, because you want the dogs to get you a coon, get it treed, and move on to the next one. You don't want a dog, trailing up a track 2 hours and falling treed. I get it. But you can tailor that program to fit your needs. Bryce and I have talked about that quite a bit. So, but anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can make it as fast or as long as you wanted to make it.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, I mean, and that's what Bryce and I talked about is, just don't be letting your dogs trail anything over 45 minutes or an hour. You don't want them doing that.
Do a 2-hour track, you're going to run a 2-hour track.
Yeah, do a 30-minute track and make it 500 yards long where they got to push it, or half a mile, or whatever you want to do. Everybody can, like I said, you can tailor it to your own needs. But I definitely have seen all 3 of those pups will take a track, and they're not, like I said, the oldest one's 7 months old, and the other 2 are 5 months old.
Yeah.
So I'm very pleased. I'm pleased with that. So, any input on you, Wes or Jerry?
No, I'm just coasting along here, kind of riding the train. I'm getting to see some bear. We're getting on some good races. Heath and them are having to start them. We're just kind of finishing them. But as far as training season goes, it's this last few weeks here has been pretty good for us. But I'm just not where I want to be dog wise. So.
Yeah, I don't think we ever are. I can tell you that. Like yeah. I'm nowhere near satisfied with what I have. Jerry and I were having this conversation going up a mountain or riding around a minute ago. I don't know what part we was at, but maybe it was this morning. We were talking about Ring, and it's taken me a long time to realize some things with that dog. And I know we're going back 15 years because he's been dead since 2017. So one of his faults was one of his strengths. And I was listening to a podcast. I don't remember if maybe it was Chris and him doing a point blank, or maybe it was Bryce's. I don't remember whose podcast it was, but they were talking about, the dogs. And I got to really thinking about some of the dogs that I've had over the years that I would actually consider bear dogs. And, Ring's, to me, one of his huge faults was he had no comeback in him. And if you turned that scoundrel loose, you was going to get him. Like, he didn't come back. And if you were free casting and you did not keep an eye on him, he gone. And he'd be in the next mountain range over treed by a bear by himself, and nothing was with him. Of course, like Jerry and I was just talking, this was, we didn't have the Garmin's in. We were running the old telemetry. I was running a quick track. I couldn't afford a shocking collar. Fielder gave me my first shocking collar that I ever had. And, he was just gone. But in the same sense, when that dog struck off the truck, he'd go find it. If he got an odor in his nose, I don't care if it was 200 yards, 500 yards, 1,000 yards, he would go find it. And as aggravated as I stayed at that dog for the not coming back, it was one of the things that made him such a great dog. Is I could go behind people and rig tracks and ended up treeing a bear or finding a bear where their dogs weren't picking it up as far. I mean, that wasn't nothing bad or good, but I'm just saying that was his ability that made him shine. And it was a thing that I absolutely hated about him. I hated chasing him around.
That's not the only thing you hated about him.
Well, he was junkier and all, get out.
The first 2 years with him were something else, and he's not exaggerating about the dog. I mean, I had the pleasure of hunting with Ring when I was in high school then, but that's a dog that you just can't find. These people say they have bear dogs. That definition could be pretty broad, but I've never seen another dog like him. Bell and them, they did their fair share, but he was just a different style.
Yeah, I mean, he was a once in a lifetime dog, and I've had some decent dogs. I mean, you asked me the other day. I've had a handful or two of dogs that'll catch bear by themselves and do it consistently, but they were not him.
Yep.
They were not him. And Jerry and I was just talking about my blue dogs, and y'all have heard me say it before. Bell and Clyde, and they called a pile of bear. I mean, super nice trail dogs. Clyde had the coldest nose of any dog that I've ever owned. But it'd take them 3 hours to catch a bear, where it took Ring hour and a half at the most.
And that's when there were no bear as well.
Yeah. So, but anyways, just thinking about some things like that, about weaknesses and strengths, and like I said, I kind of had an aha moment when I got to thinking about that. His thing that aggravated me the most is what made him such a fantastic dog. Is like he'd go get them. So, and Jerry and I had that conversation Wednesday morning. You were asking me about do we just send the dogs in the woods, or how do we do it? And I was explaining to him, and everybody hunts different. For me and my style, like right now we're rigging a lot of roads because of the time of year. And then in the wintertime, after deer season and pressure gets to moving game away from the roads and deeper into the woods, I mean, we're walking. So we're free casting, which means I turn 2 or 3 dogs loose and just take off walking through the woods trying to find a bear track. So anyway, unless we got anything else to add to training season, we'll move on.
Yep, let's do it.
All right. So Jerry, tell us a little bit about you, what you do, where you from. And I know you got some coon getters.
Yeah, I've coon hunted all my life. I can't even remember the first time I went. My dad wasn't a coon hunter, but I remember being in the woods with some of his buddies, and I was just sitting on my dad's knee or something. But got my first dogs when I was 11 years old. My uncle gave me a couple blue ticks, and one of them was a pretty good dog. But then I got a Walker female when I was about 15, and she was the first really coon dog I guess I had. And then I went all the way to Columbus, Ohio, up in there somewhere, and got a Walker dog, about a 5-year-old dog, and he was a pretty nice dog. Hunted him for a long time. He was silent, and he would go till he got tree. So I didn't have any kind of tracking collar at that time, even a telemetry, so I spent a lot of cold nights out chasing him around. So, but it's something that I've always enjoyed, being with hounds, and this, being around these bear dogs. It ain't much difference. It seems like they got a lot of teamwork involved in catching a bear. Around here you got these guys all work together to get one. They strike a bear, and they try to communicate and pack it, get it up and moving, and keep it moving. I think Wednesday was the first bear I'd seen up a tree, so it's kind of been something I want to do for a few years, and I appreciate Heath let me tag along and putting up with me and give me a chance to learn something about it. And this this bear hunting culture down here in Virginia, West Virginia, Tennessee, and North Carolina, it's very appealing to me, and I'd fit right in. I know I would. So just glad to be here and participate. So
I know your wife asked you the other day. She said, "Are we going to have to move to Virginia?"
Yeah, she's always worried about country. So I've always got some kind of, I bought a pair of mules and broke them to work, and and wound up breaking several big draft horses, and I never did that when I was a kid. We had horses, but I think my dad had a little roan mare that we worked a little bit in the the woods some, but never been around any kind of draft horse or draft. Of course, my grandpas, they had mules that's what they farmed with when they started out, of course, but I don't know why I get some ideas in my head, but she knows about them all, so she kind of cringes, I guess, sometimes when I start talking about bear hunting. So
I bet.
So
what? And I didn't really even ask you this. What was your expectation when you come down here? What was your expectation? What was the preconceived notion that you thought, or what did you expect to happen, or what were you expecting this trip to be like?
Well, like I say, I wanted to be under a bear tree, and I've seen videos and all this, all these dogs, and but it ain't a whole lot different than what I expected, because I knew the bears run. I got some guys in the same county there that we got a few bear in our county, and they chase them. But I guess they're bears are a lot harder to tree, I guess, in the county. You got to push them a lot harder, but it's about what I expected. There's the teamwork is, that's impressed me a lot. The guys got all to work together to pack the bear and kind of, protect the dog, keep them off the road, and everybody's, works together as a team. So that's pretty impressive.
So let's just go through our 3 days and talk about it. And our first day, it was just you and me and Wes, and we struck a bear. And dogs had to go quite a bit above the road to find it. I mean, we're talking probably 300 yards to pick it up. And they ended up going up and turning and coming back across the road behind us. And guys, sorry about the traffic. We're outside. It's like a Daytona 500 out here today. But so yeah, the bear come back across the road. No, it went over, and you and I went around, and they made a long loop into that valley, and went way up in the head of that valley, and come back down towards the creek, and come across the creek into another little drainage, and then they come down that drainage into some flats, and they caught right there. Well, I told you, I said, looks like you're going to tree, and man, they circled around for just a second, and they were gone. And then they crossed back up, and Wes tried to cut them off, and he couldn't get around there fast enough. So you and I tried to get to the hard top before they did, because we didn't want them hit, and we couldn't even beat them to the hard top. We got to the hard top, and they'd already crossed, and was able to put a trip down with Spook. And Hart come across right after that. And so we only had 3 dogs. We caught the rest of the dogs coming through because they were so far behind. So we caught the rest of them. And they ended up, crossing the creek and going across the ridge and into another valley. And then started pulling the mountain. And I'm like, well, we're going to West Virginia, aren't we? And they pulled 3/4 of the way up and treed right in the head of the holler before you top out. And I said, couldn't tree in a worse place. But we were pretty fortunate because there was an old logging road we could walk. We walked into the logging road within 527 yards of them. And then from there we had to bust a brush, and we get in there and they were treed. And that was your first one. And couple notes for me, so the entire race was 11.3 miles. That's how far the dogs went. And I think Jerry, being from Kentucky, should have been used to the Dukes of Hazzard. But when we come across the top of the mountain to the hard top, I don't know if all 4 wheels touched the ground at the same time all the way down through there. He was seat belted in. He had his crash helmet on, was holding on to the old crap handle. And I said, you didn't realize you was going to be Dukesing it, did you? And he's like, well, I didn't know.
He talks to big game guys about this Chevrolet. He was probably doing 22 max. That's about as fast as it'll go.
Yeah. Look out the driveway here.
Yeah.
Is old Rusty.
Yeah, and 3 Toyotas.
And 3 toys. I mean.
Well, I still got my original transfer case and everything,
Well, when you get 321,000, we'll talk about it. And Jerry, you didn't see them trucks doing what we did you?
I didn't see them trucks much.
They couldn't even keep up with us.
There's a reason you couldn't see, Jerry. There's a dust cloud behind us, son.
Yeah.
Hey, I can't badmouth Toyota. That's what got me here. So.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'm the only one.
I gotta say, Steve Filler warned me a little bit about your driving, so I had a little bit of expectations about that. So.
Yeah, you just gotta hang on. We were talking, we've come back. I mean, literally. If this, I should have had this on GoPro. I mean, we're coming up the backside of the mountain. I mean, the truck's sideways, we're around, and we're just sitting there having a conversation. I'm like, yeah, we drive these every day. I can tell you where the rocks are, and I can tell you where the mud holes, and we come off that, and I said, yeah, this one mud hole down here, man, it'll take a frame out from your truck. So we slowed down, went around it, and back off to the races we went. So I know that was exciting. I don't drive like an idiot all the time, but when the dogs get in the road, it literally scares me to death. And we didn't have enough people that day to get down there. Wesley couldn't make it, and we just couldn't get off the mountain fast enough. But thank the Lord that I'm pretty sure a car turned that bear too, because it went to the road and then turned and paralleled for a couple hundred yards and then crossed, which is typically what happens. So yeah, a mile and a half later, we pulled up to the tree and got some video, and it was good. That's just a part of it for me, and I feel pretty fortunate that we was able to catch that bear because the way it ran and went up the mountain and not having but a couple dogs on it.
Yeah, we'd said it right then, or previous to them catching it. It's like, well, if they was going to catch it, they'd have done called it by now. But
yeah,
just got lucky.
Yeah. And then day 2, yesterday. Yeah, yesterday we kind of did the same thing, and they struck and went up. Did they go up yesterday? They did, didn't they?
Yeah, then they come back down.
Struck above the road.
Yeah,
again.
they think the other guy turned them yesterday.
Looking at the cliffs.
Yeah, that was something else. We struck right at a 15-foot ledge, and it was probably, 30 yards long, and the dogs could not get up over it. So Spook finally was able to edge around it and get up, and by the time he went up there, and he was 200 yards above the road before he opened, and then the rest of the dogs finally got up and around it, but we lost communication on him. And the other dogs went up and made a turn and come back, and we tried to get back underneath them to watch them cross. And the whole pack was up tight. They were running good. They come down the mountain, crossed, went into a creek, went around, pulled a high peak, and went around through there. And still can't pick up Spook, but me and Jerry's pulling around the mountain where we can hear him. Like, I can hear Spook, and I kept telling them, I'm like, I can hear Spook a lot better than I can hear those other dogs. I don't know if he's coming up or going down or what. So, anyway, we just kind of kept up with the back dogs, and Wesley and Hot Rod were down on the hardtop, and Hot Rod hollered at Wesley, and he goes, hey, is that your dog, that pup that smells like Spook barking? And Wesley's like, no, and he's about that time, he's like, he's in the road. So
yeah, I don't know that. Yeah, you got to know Sam, guys. It's I don't know what the word would be. You don't, when you see a bear in the road, when Sam's got one coming to the road, when he screams, you don't know what he said. You just got to know it's a bear. You can't ever make it out. Yeah,
if he's screaming, it's a bear. Just go. So anyway, but Spook had got in front of them. How far was them other dogs from the road? 4 or 5?
Almost 700.
700?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know what happened there. I don't know if where that ledge got them tied up, and maybe it just didn't seem that long to us, but maybe it was. But anyway, they all crossed out. They packed them up and went over there a couple 400 or 500 yards and treed, and we got into that tree, and a lot easier walking than the first day, for sure.
Yes, cakewalk.
I'd like to have had another one of those this morning.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then that was yesterday, and I had to leave because I had to go to the range for work, so I had to bail out and go. That was early too. And then this morning, it was a cluster all the way around. We were striking bear, and dogs come down, and you can tell your version. I wasn't up there.
I wasn't. I was down here. I don't
know, but
I don't know that they left out on anything, but they end up coming up with something. So
yeah, and they those 3, was there 4 dogs that come to me?
Yeah, I think three came down, and then 3 or 4 went over the top.
So it was, yeah. Anyway, so we were down at the bottom, and so Jerry and I started back up the road, the mountain road, and got up to where they usually cross. We were sitting there while the dogs come out in the road, and one of Wesley's dogs did not. She turned and was parallel on the road, so we kept easing. Well, the other dogs went back to her and started following her, and then Hot Rod was sitting up the hill, and some other people. I don't know what happened there, but I feel like it was right.
Yeah, she came out in between Garrett and myself, and then he pulled up and struck it and packed it, and now they're still out hunting dogs.
Yeah, I'm not sure where they went, but yeah. So I don't know. Then then Jerry and I decided that we were going to go down and check another area. So we went down and around, and the dog struck, and I don't know. I don't know what it was. I don't know. I haven't been having much problems with junk, but I didn't like the way it ran. Again, the dogs went backwards and turned and come back. Spook dropped off in the road and was kind of looking at me like, what do you want me to do? And he went back to them. Well, they ended up going on out around the mountain, and we were able to get back on the top. And when they crawled, they literally, as soon as we topped to where they were at, they come right out in the road, and we ended up catching them all up. And again, a couple observations. I can't say it was or it wasn't. I didn't see it. I don't know. Dogs were really tired for that race, and we looked at it because I reset my collars. It was 3.1 miles, which was nothing.
Yeah, it's pretty much stayed on top the whole time.
Yeah,
out the side.
So, but they were gassed, and we called them up and just decided, hey, it's getting up in the day, and we're just gonna call it a day. So, and we come back down the road and seen the yote standing in the road, and I'm like, all right, here we go. So we put the dogs out just to check them. Had a couple that opened, a couple that didn't, and so we're, every opportunity that I get to do that, and it's like I told Jerry Wednesday, I'm like, hey, we see a deer, I'm gonna put these young dogs out on it just to check them. And
yeah, that's something we talked about the other night. I just didn't do it. I believe the problem I'm having with the dogs is they're striking dogs, and I need to get one of you guys to set me up for it just to see.
Well, why don't we discuss that? Because I don't know that everybody understands, like, what. And you and I have had this conversation several times. What is causing dogs to strike dogs?
So for me, I don't have a real confident starter dog. So I kind of piggyback most of the time. So if Heath and him get something going, we'll try to get up with them and finish it. But in doing that, I feel like the dogs get so used to, in their mind, hey, I smell a dog. It's time to go play. Dad's going to let me out. I'm going to bark. And then there they go. It's not necessarily all the time the bear crossing. I think I'm striking dogs as well because of that right there. Just packing so much, it's creating a problem.
Yeah, so, I had this conversation. You and I have had this conversation. Robert Miller had it on a podcast here a couple weeks ago. We talked about environment and knowing scent. And guys, this is just my 2 cents worth. Take it or leave it. It is what it is. But I believe that, and I know this I see a lot of this in our canine training in the law enforcement world. When I'm running dope, the first couple dogs really search an area really good. And after that third dog, the dogs start keying off the other dogs, and they go straight to where the odor's at because they smell that dog spent a lot of time there, and they alert, and it's done. Their search is non-existent. They're just cheating. So this is what I think, is that when the first couple of dogs run through on a bear, then every dog that comes through after that,
running dogs,
is that odor is getting less and less and less. And when you pack behind 4, 5, 6 dogs, basically the dogs are running dogs. Now they may be catching some bear odor in there. I'm not saying they're not, but in the big picture, if you're looking at the scent picture, and we could actually take a shot of that, I guarantee you the dog odor is overwhelming compared to the bear scent at that point. So if you are packing dogs constantly, then your dogs are keying. They're cheating. They're keying off the other dogs. So Wesley and I have had this conversation. We know how to fix it, or I know how to fix it. We're going to work on it. Just like he said, just, get your dogs out, let them run in the road for a minute, pick them up, drive up the road, have him come in behind you if the dog's open, tap, 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 and we're done. Because if you guys are turning dogs out of the truck, whether you're rigging or whether you're turning them out of the box, if they're blowing up and that you turn them loose and they run around in circles in the road and they don't go nowhere, 2 things. And
trash.
It's either trash and they don't want to mess with it. Well, it's 3 things. Trash, or they don't want to mess with it. They don't want to go find it. Or there have been other dogs or something in there. And we know, because the area that we hunt is heavily hunted, and there may have been somebody through here at 5 o'clock this morning that we didn't know about. We see the tire tracks. We know that people have been through here. So you have to be very cautious. So if you guys are training and you're having some of those issues, maybe take a step back, think about what we're talking about, and evaluate it, and see if that's the same problem that you may or may not be having. I don't, maybe nobody has it. I don't know, but I know that we have several that have that issue, that you can put the dogs off the truck to put them in the road. They run around circles, get back on the truck, and you move on. And again, that may be just them not wanting to go 400 yards up in the woods to find the odor. I don't know. Or the dog's just saying, "Hey, I want down. If I bark, Dad's gonna put me on the ground." And dogs will do that. I mean, dogs are always going to do what's best for them and take advantage of what they can get by with. So, just some thoughts there. For me, like I said, just seeing the odor work in the work side of what I do, and trying to translate that into the hunting side, I think it has a big part in it. Dogs are just cheating off other dogs. So, Jerry, what was your first bear experience? Like, what was it like? I know we kind of said it, but, after you got to clean your britches from the driving.
The drive wasn't that bad. I just, as long as I got something to hold on to, I'm good. No, it's, they pushed that bear. They drove it for like 11 miles, a little over 11 miles, and finally got treed, and we walk in there and we find the bear, and Heath pulls the dogs off, and I sit there and, I get a video at coming down, and the videos I've watched, they come down pretty quick and they get gone pretty quick, but this one just kind of eased down real quick or real slowly, and when she got on the ground, she wasn't sure where to go, and she was coming straight at me. And I thought, man, this is going to be good. I'll get a close up, but I guess she smelt me or something. So she kind of looked at me for just a minute, and then she never did really run off. She just kind of eased off. So I got a good video, got some good memories there. So then the next day, we treated another one, and it was a lot easier walk, not just a cakewalk compared to the first day. So. But it was maybe a little bigger bear, and it was way up in the tree, and them boys had packed it, so had a lot more dogs at the tree and stuff. So we just kind of pulled ours off, and one guy had some puppies there, so he played with the puppies on the tree with it. So it was good big time, like something I'd really enjoy. I hope we get to do it again.
Did you get excited, like for us, like hearing those dogs get caught or get treed is like, so it's exciting. And, I don't know how many bear I've seen over the years, 2 or 3 maybe. I still, like, every one is different, and it gets my blood pumping. Yeah,
if you're a houndsman, when you hear that locator and them dogs in there, chopping away, then, you want to go see what they got. So, it's.
That's why Heath calls me shaky so much. And, they hear the dogs, and I just kind of overdose on dopamine. And it's a thrill.
It's like you boys talk about those dogs, they get excited too, so it's kind of like we are. So.
Yeah. I love to hear the dogs treed or caught. I like the running part too. I do. But it's that ending that I like.
You got some adrenaline there last year. That thing popped out of the hole, and you said it was a Volkswagen. You were hollering and hooping.
You know what? Let's talk about that. So, the DWR put out the ages of the bear kill last year, and I'm highly disappointed in myself for taking a 3-year-old bear. That's not something I want to do. I don't care to do it. And, of course, I had no idea that the bear was that young. But the amount of 1-year-old bear in the kill statistics last year is flat out astonishing. And there was some older bear in there. Most of your older bear was the sows. I think I seen 122 18, or some 17, some 13. You know, I've seen a lot of sows up with age, and you know, when you get up probably past that, you know, that's something we probably talk to the biologist about. What time? When do they stop reproducing? When is it okay to take a sow? You know, at that 15-year mark, 10-year mark. You know, especially a 20-year-old's definitely not going to be producing any cubs. But I was astounded at the 1-year-olds. Like, holy cow. And, you know, everybody's each to their own, do what they want. But if we keep taking 1-year-old bear, then our population is going to decrease tremendously and twice as fast. You know, we've talked about it amongst our group. You know, we have our 3-day early season coming up. And, I mean, we've caught 2 bear this year. Out of all the bear that we've caught 2 bear that are shoot a bull, but we probably ought to leave them. I mean, you know, they're not there yet. I mean, they're not that mature boar. And, you know, we are going to try, our group is going to try super hard this year to not take any sows. I mean, I know that sometimes things happen and you don't know, and, you know, even though you're looking at it and you think it's a boar, I mean, we've had that happen. We've like, yeah, all right, that's a boar. That's a good bear. Take it. And it'd be a 260-pound, you know, sow bear. You know, we've had that happen, but it's not on purpose, I can tell you that. And you've got several people evaluating it, trying to figure it out and make the right decisions. But as far as we're concerned, that is a goal for us this year, is to be more cognizant of what we are harvesting. Like I said, early season and youth season, we didn't take a bear last year.
We didn't, no.
What did we?
We ran several.
6?
Yeah.
6 or so?
Didn't take one.
Yeah. And the year before, we treated 9 and only took 1. That was Jason's bear right up here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, we're trying our hardest to do our part. So, you know, hopefully others will recognize what we're seeing and you know, do the same thing. So, I don't know. All right, y'all got anything to add, take away?
I don't.
Yeah?
Just appreciate you guys letting me come do it with you.
Well, yeah.
Hope I can come back.
Yeah.
It's, to me, you know, even coon hunting, it's all about the dogs, and I can see you guys are, you know, the same. You're, you know, serious about the dogs, and that's what it takes to, you know, to be successful at this is good dogs, and to me that's, you know, that's what it's all about. So.
I know one of the things we was coming off the mountain just a little while ago, and we were talking about our season. You know, you were surprised that we can only run 2 months, and it's hard. It's hard to keep dogs financially. It's hard to keep dogs all year long to run for. We have 3 months. We have two months of chase season and then a month of harvest, and you know it's expensive. To keep those dogs just to run for those 3 months. And then, you know, I set my odometer when season come in, because I want to know how many miles that I've run. And guys, like I said, I didn't hunt as much this year as I did last year. Last year I pretty much hunted I was off the whole month of September, and I've already put 3,200 miles on my truck. And I mean, tank of gas. I mean, gas isn't cheap. You know, takes me an hour no matter where I go to hunt. I'm about an hour away. So, but it's a financial. It's financially
It's an obligation.
Yeah, it's not a burden, but it's an obligation. Yeah. And we set things aside. We don't do some things so we have that gas money or that dog food or the shots and stuff. But yeah, if we could run, you know, 4 months of the year, 5 months. In August, it's so hot. Like, I mean, you can run a day or two, but you got to be called up by 9, 10 o'clock. I mean, you have to be. Of course, you can run up to 10 o'clock, but I mean, I'm in bed by 8:30. When you get old like Fuzzy there, you got to get your sleep.
Beauty rest.
Yeah, I mean, it is. So, but anyway, well, guys, I appreciate the sit down, and going over a few things. And Jerry, man, it's been a blast. Like, I mean, you come back anytime you want to. We'll take you.
I'll be back.
Yeah, well, good. You're gonna have to buy a place.
I don't know about that.
Fuzzy may be selling. There you go. There you go. I mean, we hear some wedding bells in his future.
Oh yeah. I appreciate him letting me stay there. It's a nice place.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. Until the next time. Thank you for helping us teach, train, and learn.